So I looked a bit more into the void glitch for Diamond and Pearl. Did a little bit more research. So it turns out that no matter what, Shaman cannot be transferred up. Fuck! If I wanted to catch it and transfer up Arceus, it would have to be level 100. Never mind. I'm just gonna catch it in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. For God's sake, I already played through the games, didn't I? So that just leaves Darkrai. Now I'm primarily playing through Diamond, or at least playing up to whenever I need, to do the Void Glitch and catch Darkrai, and then I gotta figure out how to send it up to Pokemon Home. So that's Darkrai covered for the most part. That's Arceus covered. Now the problem is Shaman. Because it turns out, Shaman, caught with the Void Glitch in Diamond and Pearl, cannot send up to Pokemon Home. And then I was told online that it would work with Platinum, but that would mean I need to get my hands on a copy of Platinum. And those aren't cheap these days. I did a little more digging, and there was another option. So first, I know that the event for the Shaman... What? The Shaman event in Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl ended years ago. But I do know of, the Void Glitch in Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. So I was thinking, how could I possibly do that? And then, so I thought, do I need to buy a whole new cartridge of the game that has an older update? And then I thought, wait a second. Let me check my other Switch, my Switch Lite. It already has Brilliant Diamond on it, but I never put Shining Pearl into it, so I did just that. And hey, I put Shining Pearl into my Switch Lite, it's still on update 1.0.0. So, not all hope was lost. But then, I checked online, I asked around, the Void Glitch only works to get Shaman in updates 1.1.0? Wait, what? 1.1.0 or 1.2.0. So I'm out of luck there. If I were to update the game, it would go to 1.3.0, where the Void Glitch has been fixed. So, damn. Shaman is still out of my grasp. So then I really did consider. So I looked online. There are the updated cartridges that came out with specific patch notes. So if I'm lucky, I could find a physical cartridge of Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl with the updates 1.1.0 or 1.2.0. I browsed on eBay, looking at every picture that I could with the cartridge, the back of the cartridge specifically, and no luck. So I thought, damn, I'm kind of out of luck. I now have Arceus covered, I now have Darkrai covered. I'm only missing Shaman in a regular Pokeball for my living dex. So, I tried, I had the idea, I tried. I looked at Shining Pearl on my Switch Lite. Off chance it might have the correct update, but it doesn't. And then I thought, you know what? What's the harm? Because on my main Switch, I got Shaman and Darkrai. I shiny hunted for both on my Brilliant Diamond. But I just couldn't remember if I even touched them in Shining Pearl. So I figured, why not? What harm would it do? I took a look into my Shining Pearl, and then I saw in my key items, Oak's letter. Wait, I got Oak's letter in my Shining Pearl? Wait a second. I claimed the event back when it was still available. I had Oak's letter in my Shining Pearl this whole time. But then, now that I've had a hint of a glimmer of hope, I then thought, wait, don't get your hopes up too high just yet, because you don't know yourself. What if off chance you caught the shaman for whatever reason in the past? Don't get too excited. So, I went to wherever it is, Pokemon League, went down the waterfall, went through the cave and met up with Marley. And there were so many trainers to battle. But the fact that I did not battle those trainers yet gave me hope, because I hadn't been here yet, because I hadn't battled the trainers yet. And lo and behold, I really did have Oak's letter in my Shining Pearl game this entire time. And Shaman not caught yet. Well, excuse me for thinking that I was an idiot who didn't claim the mystery gift back then, because I was partially right about that. I had Oak's letter, but I don't have the Lunar Wing in my Shining Pearl, so I can't get Darkrai. But I was able to get Shaman. So excuse me for believing I was an idiot back then for not claiming the mystery gift when it was available. Because in truth, that is the case, just with the wrong item. My Shining Pearl, I was able to get Shaman, but not Darkrai. And actually, hold on. I have the Shaman for you guys to see right now. Alright, not shiny. So if you look over here on my monitor, there it is. Shaman, right there in my living dex, in a regular Pokeball, you see? Oh, let me grab my controller. So, only thing missing now is Darkrai, because I don't have that yet. You see it's in a Cherish Ball. And I actually have yet to catch Arceus, so it's still in a Cherish Ball. Victini is in a Pokeball, you saw that long ago. So everything else in my living dex is in a regular Pokeball. Except for Darkrai and Arceus at the moment, which will be changed in the near future. And, here's Shaman. I caught this earlier today. In my Shining Pearl, which I never claimed. Earlier today. I caught it in... Timid Nature. I googled real quick, best nature for Shaman, and I just reset until I got a Timid Nature, because Google said Timid Nature is the best for Shaman. I figured, well, Shaman's been such a pain in the ass to get. I have the opportunity right now. I may as well get it with the quote-unquote best ability, because why not? So I googled what the best nature is for Shaman. The first thing that popped up was Timid. So I reset until I caught Shaman in a regular Pokeball with the Timid nature. I typically don't care about natures. However, like I said, because Shaman has been such a pain, I figured I may as well. And I can't believe I'm about to say this. God forbid, while resetting, I get a shiny. Because I tell ya, and I really can't believe I'm saying this, if I got a shiny Shaman, I would not have caught it. I would not have wanted it. Getting my hands on a regular Pokeball Shaman has already been such a pain for years. If I got it shiny, I would not have taken it. I would not have caught it or kept it. Besides, I already have a shiny Shaman that I got in Brilliant Diamond anyways. Okay, so now, in terms of my Pokemon Home living dex, everything in regular Pokeballs, the only thing missing, if we don't count Darkrai and Arceus, because those will be replaced soon, only thing missing in regular Pokeballs, aside from also Enamorus, would be pretty much every mythical after Genesect. Keldeo you can catch in a regular Pokeball in Sword and Shield's DLC. Meloetta you can catch in a regular Pokeball in Scarlet and Violet's DLC. Genesect, only way you can get Genesect in a regular Pokeball currently is in Pokemon Go. And that's kind of the case for a lot of mythicals. That's the case for Diancie. That's the case for Hoopa. That's going to be the case for Volcanion in a couple weeks when Go Fest happens. Let's see. There's a couple Pokemon that have never been available in Pokeballs yet. Also, I believe Marshadow you can get in a regular Pokeball in Pokemon Go. So, certain Mythicals you cannot catch in a Pokeball, at least not as of this moment. Magearna. Magearna. Zeraora. I'm trying to look at my Pokemon Home. Yeah, Magearna, Zeraora. You know what? I think those are the only two. Because everything else you can, or I should say could, get in a regular Pokeball in Pokemon Go. Those events are long gone by now. But if you did them, like I did, then yeah, they would be in a regular Pokeball. I don't want to transfer them to Pokemon Home just yet. Just in case, in the future, because what Pokemon's been doing for like a decade now is making mythical Pokemon more accessible. I say more, but not easily. I did not say easily accessible, because goddamn, do you have to work for them. So currently, the mythical Pokemon that you can easily access anytime, it's just you have to put in all the freaking work for it. And this one, the first one, Celebi, actually I should say the first one, Mew. Mew and Jirachi, by the way, a lot of these mythicals are locked behind paywalls, but if you have them, then you can get them anytime. Mew and Jirachi you can get anytime in Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, so that's easily accessible anytime. This one, Celebi, just like with the Thunderbolts movie, has an asterisk on it. And this asterisk does a lot of heavy lifting. Celebi you can get on the Crystal Virtual Console on the 3DS in post-game. And then if you have Pokemon Transporter and Pokemon Bank, you can send it over. So you can get Celebi anytime until Pokemon Bank dies. Assuming you have everything. Assuming you have Crystal Virtual Console, you have Poke Transporter, and you have Pokemon Bank. So assuming you have all three, yeah, you can get Celebi anytime. It's just you have to play through the whole freaking game. So, yeah. Mew and Jirachi are easily accessible. Celebi with an asterisk for the time being. Deoxys, same thing. You can get it anytime until Pokemon Bank dies. You can get Deoxys in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire post-game Delta episode. What's next on the mythical list? Okay, the Gen 4 mythicals. Fion, you can get that any damn time. Manaphy, Darkrai, Shaman, and Arceus. Arceus you can get anytime, as long as you have a completed copy of Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl and Legends Arceus, or just get Arceus at the end of Legends Arceus. Same goes for Manaphy, Darkrai, and Shaman. You can easily get those in Legends Arceus. So all of those mythicals are currently always accessible. There is one more. That being... Oh, wait, no, there's more than one more. Keldeo, like I said, Sword and Shield DLC, Meloetta, Scarlet and Violet DLC. And then one more. Now there's one more. That being Magearna. Magearna you can get with the QR code, scanning a QR code in Sun and Moon games. So yeah. For the most part... Oh, also Pecharunt. Right. Pecharunt. Scarlet and Violet Prologue. So those are the mythicals you can get anytime. As, you know, as long as you have all the games, as long as Pokemon Bank isn't dead yet. But, you know, the sad thing is, had I not had the ability to get Shaman in Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, I would have had to wait, what, like another 20 years before I can easily access a Shaman again? Because think, what I just said how Pokemon are kind of making mythicals a little bit more accessible as long as you put in the work. Yeah. Celebi in Crystal Virtual Console post-game, Deoxys in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire post-game, Darkrai, Shaman, and Manaphy, those are also Legends Arceus post-game. But those aren't the Pokeballs I want them in. I want them in regular, modern Pokeballs, not the ancient Pokeballs in Legends Arceus. But because they're so accessible in that game, that's considered it. That's the game they're considered accessible in. So Game Freak has no need to make them accessible in another game anytime soon. So if I wanted another Shaman, Darkrai, or Arceus, well, not Arceus. If I wanted another Darkrai or Shaman in a regular Pokeball anytime soon, okay, not Darkrai. The only other method for me to get a regular Pokeball Shaman is Pokemon Go. And I didn't want to do that unless I really had to, because otherwise, in Pokemon Home, it would have the ugly G. Now, currently, I have no choice for that, for some things. Some things like Marshadow, no, not Magearna, not yet. Marshadow, Volcanion, Diancie, Hoopa. So, certain mythicals, oh, Genesect as well. Certain mythicals, I have no choice but to, have the ugly G on them if I want them in a regular Pokeball, because they have to come from Pokemon Go. So yeah, if I wasn't able to get the Shaman in my Shining Pearl, I would have had to wait like maybe another 20 years. Because in Game Freak's eyes, Manaphy, Darkrai, and Shaman are easily accessible in Legends Arceus. But those aren't the Pokeballs I want them in. At least they make Arceus available, in a regular Pokeball, as long as you beat both games. Shaman, I got covered. Darkrai, I'm working on it. Void Glitch in regular Diamond. I hope that works, by the way. So currently, because I have no choice, in my Pokemon Go living dex, there's a handful of things that are not in a regular Pokeball, only in a Cherish Ball or others. That being Genesect, Diancie, Hoopa, Volcanion, Magearna, Marshadow, Zeraora, and Enamorus. Everything else is in a regular Pokeball, which will soon include Darkrai and Arceus. So, let's see. Oh, by the way, if anyone's curious, how did I get a Manaphy in a regular Pokeball? Remember when Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl first came out and there was that Manaphy egg mystery gift? Yeah. And then obviously to get Fion, you just breed. One day, though, if I run out of patience, there will be Pokemon that I have to transfer over from Pokemon Go for my living dex, everything in Pokeballs. So, Genesect, Diancie, Hoopa, Volcanion, Marshadow. I think that's it for now, because Magearna's not in Pokemon Go yet. Zeraora's not in Pokemon Go yet. Enamorus you can only catch in a Premier Ball in that game. Anyways, yeah, super happy I was able to get, finally, a Shaman in a regular Pokeball for my living dex. Mom didn't even close the door. She just came in, and she didn't even close the door. Hold Hold on. Ugh. Okay, in other Pokemon news, or Pokemon Go news, first of all, I want to say that last time, I completely forgot to mention that I got a shiny Pokemon in Pokemon Go that I have wanted for a very long time. Last time, I got a shiny Phantump. It was my first ever shiny Phantump in Pokemon Go, and currently still is the only shiny Phantump I have in Pokemon Go. So, yesterday in Pokemon Go was Jangmo-O Community Day. I started off the day by catching three strange looking shiny Jangmo-Os. They were named Poochyena, Houndour, and then Poochyena again. And then throughout the day, I proceeded to catch 23 shiny Jangmo-Os. 3 of which I caught in my sister's game, which I then promptly traded to myself. So technically yesterday in Pokemon Go, I caught 26 shinies. Which isn't necessarily a good thing, because remember, I ran out of space in Pokemon Go. And if I keep catching 20 to 30 shinies every community day, I'll run out of space quickly. And then today, I caught a shiny Furfrou. My second shiny Furfrou. But wait, there's more! Today, I also got a Hundo Snubble. There was a timed Snubble research task, and I got a Hundo from it. Sweet. Oh, by the way, today was hot as fuck. Today was blistering hot outside. We were baking today. Today was so incredibly hot. Man, today was so hot, I could have cried. I could have cried it was so hot today. I don't like the heat. I don't like hot temperatures. I prefer the cold. Now, at work, it was air conditioned. The mall was air conditioned. However, throughout the day, it just wasn't cold enough. It was still too hot. But it was definitely better than outside. You stand outside for a couple minutes and then you come back in. It feels like you just, you're passing the freezer aisle. But then you stay inside, you still start to sweat. Because it's not cold enough. I was thinking, once I'm done regular Diamond and Darkrai, what do I do next? Because I don't have too much to shiny hunt. I don't have too much to do. I don't have any other games to replay Pokemon-wise. Well, I thought of some stuff. I have a couple options. So, at first I thought, I did hear about this recently. At first I was thinking, maybe something I could do is replay Oras 3 more times to get the separate physical forms of Deoxys. But then I thought how much of a waste of time that would be, because in the future, at some point in the future, I'm going to transfer a whole bunch of Deoxys from Pokemon Go to Pokemon Home to make space. Because I have hundreds of Deoxys in my Pokemon Go that I don't use, that are just taking up space. Why do I have hundreds of Deoxys? Well, it's just what happened when I wanted to get the shiny. So, yeah. that would be a huge waste of time for me to replay Oras 3 more times, because I'm just gonna send Deoxys from Pokemon Go anyways. You could make the argument, well, those Deoxys will have the ugly G. But in this case, who cares? I don't really care that much. In this particular case, I don't care that much. So... okay, so I'm not going to replay Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire 3 more times. I could always continue my Let's Go Pikachu playthrough. I really don't want to, though. I don't like playing those games. So, aside from that, I could do a couple of shiny hunts I wanted to do for a while, but never really bothered to. One of them, well, it depends on fate. Going back to Alpha Sapphire, I want to shiny hunt an unknown. But not just any unknown, specifically the letter A. And, you know, singling out an unknown is impossible. So my chances are quite against me. Now, it's up to fate, because Mirage Islands where unknowns spawn, that's very unlikely to happen. I really should be checking that daily, but I don't. So aside from that, something else I could do is shiny hunt Spinda in my Alpha Sapphire. I did start that a long time ago, but then I stopped. I wasn't too invested, and I had other things to do, other games to play. So I could continue that now. Or I have another option of something I could do. So I replayed Brilliant Diamond and Legends Arceus to get another Arceus from Brilliant Diamond. Wow, what a sentence. However, I could do the same for Shining Pearl. If I replay Shining Pearl again, I could get another Arceus. There's an idea. Although, I've been exposed to Sinnoh so much these days. Maybe not yet. Whew. That was a lot to talk about. So anyways, today we have 3 shows to talk about. We have the Season 2 finale of The Walking Dead Dead City. We have Gen V Episode 5, as well as The Boys Presents Diabolical Episode... Did I say 5? No, 4. Gen V Episode 4. And The Boys Diabolical Episode 4. I'm already getting the episode numbers confused. Tonight's episode of Dead City actually wasn't that long. I expected it maybe like an hour and a half with commercials. But no, it was like an hour and 2 minutes, so it's pretty standard. Let me just set some things up on my end before we talk about the episode. Oh, you know what? We had some Hollywood news come out. Supposedly, Frank Castle, the Punisher, John Bernthal, will be... Why did I say it like that? Supposedly, John Bernthal will be playing the Punisher in Spider-Man Brand New Day. That is a huge deal. We would finally get to see the Punisher and Spider-Man together on the silver screen. We'll be seeing the Punisher go from Netflix to mainline MCU movie in a Spider-Man movie nonetheless. How is that going to work, though? I've seen everyone online question the Punisher is not a PG-13 character. So they would have to tone him down for a PG-13 setting. Because we know damn well Marvel, Disney, and Sony are not going to make Spider-Man R-rated. Even if Spider-Man doesn't swear, even if he doesn't do any killing himself, and only the Punisher shows blood and gore, they're not going to do that. They're not going to make a Spider-Man movie rated R. Imagine that would be the dream, by the way. If only Hollywood and movies didn't have that kind of restriction. So imagine a movie where Spider-Man is himself. He's childish, he's quippy, he's innocent. And then, the Punisher's in it. He swears, he kills, there's blood splattering everywhere, guts exploding everywhere. Think of it this way. How about this? Imagine Avengers. An Avengers movie where everything is rated PG-13, but Deadpool's in it. And only Deadpool is allowed to swear as much as he wants, make as many sex jokes as he wants, show as much blood and gore as he wants. That would be the dream. But I imagine if we were to get an Avengers movie with Deadpool in it, Deadpool would turn to the screen, break the fourth wall, and be like, I can't swear, make any of the jokes I usually do, or show too much violence because this is a PG-13 movie. Man, that would be the dream, you know? A project is as PG-13 as they want, but the character who is a mature rated R character, only that character acts rated R. That would be the dream, you know? All of the Avengers would be so annoyed by Deadpool with how much jokes he makes, how unseriously he takes everything, all the gore, you know, all of the other Avengers would be grossed out by him. But they would still act like themselves, just like Deadpool would act like himself. Well, we don't live in a perfect world like that. But anyways, enough about that. So, the Punisher is potentially returning in Spider-Man Brand New Day. And so is the Hulk. There's rumors that the Hulk is returning too. Yo, this is like a dream come true for movies. As long as we get the Savage Hulk back, we don't want Professor Hulk. He sucks. To finally see not only the Punisher on the silver screen again, because it's been how long since we saw the Punisher in a movie? Not only to see the Punisher back on the silver screen, but to see, at long last, Punisher interact with Spider-Man. Now all that's missing is Spider-Man to interact with Daredevil, not Matt Murdock, Daredevil fully suited up, and to see Spider-Man go up against Kingpin. Come on, we want it so badly. Just give it to us. Stupid rights issue, stupid logistics. Just give us what we want. We want a solo Savage Hulk movie, World War Hulk maybe, or yeah, whatever. We want Spider-Man to team up with characters like Daredevil and Punisher, and team up to go up against the Kingpin. We want this stuff! But they're not giving it to us, because stupid rights issues. And then I saw people online talk about this movie might be grounded, like a grounded level movie, aside from the fact that the Hulk's in it. But, that's still pretty grounded, I suppose. There's also the potential that this movie is like a morals conflict. Because people online were bringing up how in the MCU, Peter Parker and Frank Castle both lost everything. Peter Parker, that was by choice. He chose to lose everything so that the multiverse would not bleed into his Earth. And he chose not to remind anyone of who he was, to protect them, to distance himself from them. Frank Castle, though, he lost his whole family, and that was not his choice. So we'll have to see. God, please make this movie good. We know Sony does not have a track record of making good films, at least not anymore. We know what Marvel and Disney are up to these days. You have such potential. You have gold sitting in the palm of your hand. The power of the sun in the palm of your hand. A movie with Spider-Man and the Punisher. You have one job. One very simple job. It's not hard to mess it up. So please, I beg you, Sony, Disney, and Marvel, please, I beg you. You know what I want. You know what I don't want in the movie. Give me what I want, and hey, look, I'll give you what you want. It's called money. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. So today was my brother-in-law's brother's wedding day. My sister's husband's brother. He got married today. Today was his wedding day. I didn't go, and as bad as it is for me to say, thank God I didn't go, because otherwise it would just make me feel so much worse about myself that I'm now attending a second wedding in the row. Alone, unspoken for. So now that he's married, when's my turn, right? Let's not think about that. But well, congrats to him. Congrats to them. They're a married couple now. Good for them. Their parents must be so happy. Both their sons married. Basically a year apart. Last year, their oldest son got married, and today, a year later, just about, their younger son got married. The two of them must be so happy. Their parents must be so happy. And I thought about parents and happiness earlier today. Because today, walking around, I saw someone who looked a lot like someone from my high school. It wasn't her, but the way she looked reminded me of her. She was probably the smartest girl in my entire grade, like in all of high school when I was there. In my entire grade, she was probably the smartest girl. And then, there was also the smartest guy. This is a bit of just a me thing. I feel like I might be the only person in my school to think this. I thought the two of them could have hooked up, because the two of them were probably the smartest in the whole school. Though that's just me. So, seeing someone that looked like her today reminded me of her and how smart she was. And then I thought, damn. Imagine being the parents. Knowing that your daughter is probably the smartest girl in her entire high school, Or the other guy, that you are the parents to the smartest guy in the whole high school. Must be a nice feeling, right? Well, unfortunately, my parents did not get that. My parents got far from that. I was one of the dumber kids in high school. Now, I wasn't dumb to the point I was potentially failing, where I had to take the entire grade again. So I wasn't down to that level of failing, but in terms of people who passed but just barely scraped by, oh yeah, I'm one of the top of the bottom. Yeah. Anyways, we got 3 shows to discuss, and I ain't start with one yet. Given how hot it was today, I also heard that it's gonna be this hot the entire freaking week. Oh, also, tomorrow, my sister's leaving for a trip. Like a day-and-a-half trip to New York. Because, get this, there's like a BTS thing going on in New York. I don't know. So let us start talking about Dead City Season 2, Episode 8, the season finale. I just want to say, first of all, that the season overall was unfortunately kind of lackluster. The season overall was I think Season 1 was better. And would you believe there wasn't that many walkers? For a zombie show, there wasn't that many walkers this season. And this episode in particular really makes me scratch my head also on where the hell are all the walkers? Because this episode we saw a lot of wide shots on the streets of Manhattan, and they're all empty. All the streets are empty. Manhattan is empty. Where are the millions of walkers that should be flooding the streets of Manhattan? This season was lacking walkers. I don't get it. What happened to millions of walkers in the streets? The streets were empty. But aside from that, this season just didn't really have that much going on for it. The story was okay. It was primarily just New Babylon going back to Manhattan, them getting stuck there, majority of the New Babylon characters dying off. And then on the island, there was this conflict between the groups for the methane. That's almost about it. So, let's see. This episode opens up with Maggie waking up, because in the last episode, Dama whacked her over the head. So Maggie wakes up, tied to the ground. And then we kind of cut away from her as well. So we see what the other characters are up to. Armstrong is trying to question Bruegel on where the girl is, so where Ginny is. They get into a bit of a fight. Well, something was established that you think would come in later, but it really didn't. It led to nothing. So, when Armstrong had a knife to Bruegel's neck, questioning where the girl is, Bruegel reveals that she went to him. She wanted to find Negan, and Bruegel helped her by dropping her off. Because she was in no condition to get to him herself, because she was sick or whatever. So, Bruegel asks Armstrong, is she like his kid or something? And then Armstrong's face gives it away. So Brugel's just like, oh, now I know. Not only does she mean something to her, he means something to him. So if things go south, she'll be our leverage against Negan. Yeah, that led to nothing. It seemed like Season 3 setup, but no, it was not. Because spoilers, Brugel dies in this episode, so that was set up for nothing. We see Negan by Ginny's side, and they're all preparing for a meetup. So Maggie being tied up, she sees a key hanging from a cabinet, and she grabs it just before the Dama shows up. The Dama, being persistent, notices the key is gone, so she asks Maggie for it back, potentially threatening to not only hurt her, but also Herschel as well. So when the Dama was speaking with Maggie, it's like, damn, it's kind of harsh of you, bringing up everyone Maggie's lost. She mentioned Maggie's mother, Maggie's father, Maggie's sister. You know, right after mentioning Negan killed your husband. Just listing out everyone Maggie's lost. We also got an answer. Not really. Maggie was like, there was a body there. How are you alive? And the Dama's just like, oh yeah, that was one who was already dead. I let it char up nice and good. I don't know, so I can only assume the Dama freed herself and then put a walker under there to let it burn up, but that still doesn't answer my question. Did she put out the fire? Put the walker down there and then set the fire again? Or did she lift up a burning, I don't know, did she put the walker there while it was still burning? Because you would think if there was a fire, you just immediately leave, right? Because to find a nearby walker, kill it, drag it all the way back, and pin it down all while the place is still on fire, that's a lot to do. That's very risky to do. So the Dama actually convinces Maggie, like, you were never there for your son. You lost so much, but there is one thing that could fix that. And then Herschel also came over and convinced her as well. So Maggie is now convinced to move forward, to get past what happened with Negan, and to finally move forward in life with her son. She needs to once and for all kill Negan. And she sets out to do exactly that. She promises Herschel, I will get it done, and then I will come back for you. So Maggie leaves with the intent to kill Negan. So a meeting gets set up between Brugel and his men and Negan and the Barazzi. By the way, there was no Croat in this episode. Because Brugel's just like, where's your buddy? Oh, the Croat? Oh, he had to leave, you know, stuff like that. So, no Croat in this episode. Also, during the commercial breaks, we finally have a release date for Daryl Dixon Season 3. September 7th. I can't wait. I hope it's good. Season 2 was aight. So, Brugel meets up with Negan's men, Negan's group. He brings a big-ass statue as a peace offering. And then Negan offers a feast, a meal. Now, with the story we heard Negan tell earlier in the season, yeah, even I didn't trust that food. It looked like, I don't know, it kind of looked like ribs. Who knows if it was walker meat or not. Brugel, being, you know, rightfully suspicious despite not hearing that story Negan told. Brugo's it's just like, you first. So Negan and his guys actually eat it. But it was still a trick, because Armstrong looks around, notices that the benches to the side are pretty wet, pretty moist. So it turns out the table, underneath the table, was housing walkers, and the benches were drenched in gasoline. So with the help of the methane flamethrowers, it would trap Bruegel and his men to be devoured by walkers. That's another thing that this season missed a lot. Gore. We didn't really see anyone really be torn apart by walkers. So far, the deaths we did see in the season were instant. Like on the ferry, people being blown up by the methane bombs, or in the tall grass, people instantly getting dragged off and dying quick. No screaming, no anything, just disappeared and died. So we finally get to see something of people getting eaten by walkers. Now, Bruegel is just standing there, pushing walkers away. It takes him like a good minute before he remembers. Statue! I thought he was going to use the statue as an escape, but no. Armstrong tips over the big-ass statue quite easily, you know, quite without any sort of inconvenience. The statue cracks open, and inside are weapons. Inside are swords. One would think Bruegel would immediately tell his people to do that. Immediately tip over the statue to grab weapons to defend themselves. Oh well. I guess he was shocked in the moment and he didn't think about it. Whatever. So of course the main characters get away, being Pearlie Armstrong and Bruegel. So they fight. Bruegel gets his hands on one of the methane flamethrowers, lights the other person with the flamethrower on ablaze. I also saw Bruegel light a walker on fire, and the walker was kind of reacting like, oh shit, I'm on fire. And then the walker just collapsed to the ground. It's like, wait, what? That's not how walkers act. We've seen walkers on fire before. They don't act like that. Walkers don't care that they're on fire. So, Negan escapes, and I don't know where a bunch of his Barazzi are, because I think some of them died. We did see some of the Barazzi fight some of Bruegel's men, and we did see a good number of them die, but I don't think we saw that many die. So I question where the rest of the Barazzi went. So Negan goes down to that dungeon area where Ginny is resting. Let's see. Bruegel follows. Bruegel notices a ventilator. That's the thing that Negan got for Ginny. Bruegel notices a ventilator and knows that Ginny's here. Armstrong follows. But then they get surrounded by the Barazzi and Negan. So Negan actually makes them get on his knees, or their knees. Just at the right moment, Maggie shows up as well. Just in time after the fight, I suppose. Maggie came into the building seeing a bunch of dead bodies on the floor, fire everywhere. And she's just like, well, none of my business. Let me just go and find Negan. So Maggie is there watching as Negan does probably the worst thing in the worst timing possible. Because that is just hilarious writing. You know? Of course, the moment Negan does this is the exact moment Maggie just happened to be there and watching. So what Negan does is he makes Bruegel and Armstrong get on their knees. Negan holds Lucille in his hands and does eeny, meeny, miny, mo once again. Now, as questionable as the writing's timing is, I was starting to get excited. I was thinking, ooh, could we possibly see Negan Lucille someone again? Actually bash their head in again? I've been waiting to see Negan do that again ever since he did it initially. Because he never did it again after that. But sadly, no. He did not do it again. So the eeny, meeny, miny, mo actually landed on Armstrong. But then he's just like, ah, fuck it. It's you I want to kill first. Points at Bruegel. Bruegel's just like, no, Negan, please. You and I, we can accomplish so much together with the methane. Negan's just like, that's all you ever think about, the methane. You want it so bad? Here, take it. So he takes one of the pumps for the methane, makes Bruegel breathe it in. And then he sets Bruegel on fire. All the methane inside his body sets ablaze. So Bruegel burns from the inside out. Ooh. That is a brutal death. But it still sucks because Bruegel could have easily been a part of Season 3. Such a wasted character. That's something with these spin-offs. Wasted characters. Characters like Bruegel, like Navirez, like Madame Genet, Isabel, even though Isabel wasn't a villain. Just wasted characters in these spin-offs. And don't even get me started on wasted characters like Major General Beale. So, hilariously enough, Armstrong just gets up and runs away. 3 guys, and none of them were able to stop him. So Negan's just like, I got this. And he goes alone. Because of course he does. He pursues Armstrong in the methane lab. They get into a bit of a sword fight, or as close as you can get to a sword fight. Negan wielding Lucille, and Armstrong wielding like a pipe. Negan gets the upper hand, however, and just as he's about to kill Armstrong, Maggie comes in, stabbing Negan in the back. And then finally, we see the moment Maggie picks up Lucille. Even though I knew it wasn't going to happen, I think it would have been cool to see Maggie give Negan the same treatment that he gave Glenn, Lucilleing his head in. Let's see how Negan likes it, you know? I think that would have been poetic. However, that's not what we got. Negan crawls his way down to where Ginny is. Maggie slowly follows. So does Armstrong. However, there is an arm that comes out of the cell and a growling sound. Ginny has died and has turned to a walker. That was incredibly sad. Once again, talk about wasted characters. Negan is heartbroken because, you know, he actually cared about Ginny. Maggie, instead of killing Negan, actually sees just how much this affects him. So, instead of killing Negan, she hands him a blade to put Ginny down. Oh yeah, there was also this scene in the episode where Benjamin Pierce was on the rooftop with this lady. And somehow this lady did not see another fairy coming until it was too close. Even though she was watching that in that exact direction. So that lady sees another fairy, but it's too late. New Babylon has already washed up ashore on Manhattan. And the amount of people we see later on from New Babylon in Manhattan, it's like, damn. What kind of clown car was that ferry? Because that's a lot of people to fit onto that boat. So yeah, New Babylon has completely invaded Manhattan. And it seems like Benjamin Pierce has gone back to their side. Gone back to New Babylon's side. Just so he won't die. Which I can't blame him for. So now we are together with Maggie, Negan, and Pearly Armstrong. Armstrong takes the blade out of Negan's back and patches him up. Maggie goes to see Herschel. Herschel is upset that Maggie could not kill Negan because she promised him. So Herschel's pissed, and he's done with his mother. For now, at least. So he actually goes off with the Dama. Maggie's just like, I will always be here for you. I won't leave the island. So Maggie is going to stay on the island. I was a little surprised she allowed Herschel to go off with this woman. But I understand. She knows what she put her son through by not being there, by being too focused on Negan. And she knows that she just broke her promise to her son. And that her son would not listen to anything she says. So in a way, Maggie had no choice but to let Negan go with the Dama. So Herschel goes off with the Dama, and Maggie returned to where Negan and Armstrong are. So now it's just the three of them. I was kind of thinking, Maggie said she's not going to leave the island so she can be there for Herschel whenever he needs, but it's not like she has a place to stay. So is she now going to stay with Negan? That's going to be an interesting twist. So they look out the window and see a marching fleet of New Babylon. As if it was World War II. Like, what the hell? So yeah, Armstrong confirms this is New Babylon's second wave. We see New Babylon actually do take control, seize control of the methane. So now, it seems like they're going to work together to stop New Babylon. Armstrong thinks back to the conversation he had with that lady. You know, it's like diverging paths. One brings you back, and the other, who knows. And then we get this monologue, this, like, speech that alternates between Maggie and Negan. And we also get this montage of Season 1 moments between Maggie and Negan. That was a little bit weird, I'm not gonna lie. But it does set up the fact that Maggie and Negan are going to work together in Season 3. Probably alongside Armstrong. And also the fact that the Dama and Herschel, they were looking over the rooftop. They don't like the fact that New Babylon is there. So they're gonna come up with something of their own. I can't wait. I hope Season 3 is better. You know, Season 2 definitely had its flaws. I have some peanuts with me here. See? Peanuts. Earlier tonight, my mom de-shelled these, you know, took off the exterior layer, exposing the penis meat inside that you eat. I already said before in the past how I'm scared to eat peanuts despite confirmed not allergic. I'm not gonna lie, there is a hint of nervousness to me right now eating these nuts. Pause. I gotta say, I'm not the biggest fan of the way peanuts taste. I'd much prefer the flavor of pistachios to peanuts. I don't hate peanuts, you know. I just prefer pistachios. Ugh. But they're here, so I gotta eat them. So what did you guys think of Dead City Season 2? I thought it was okay. I prefer Season 1. Season 1 was better. So we lost some major characters. We lost Ginny, we lost Bruegel, but our main characters, we still have them. Maggie, Negan, Herschel, Armstrong, the Dama, the Croat. So our main characters are still here. Outside of Ginny, I suppose you could argue, out of all of the main characters, Ginny was the one who we lost. She didn't really have that much of a story in the season anyways. But it's still sad to see her go. You know, once again, The Walking Dead is no stranger to killing off kids. Oh, that's right. Regarding the Jangmo-O Community Day, so I have not evolved one into a Como-O yet. Usually for Community Days, I evolve the best IV one I got to the final evolution. But this time I didn't. Not yet. Because I want to wait until I finish the, the Community Day continued thing, where 5 days later you get a couple of encounters. I want to wait until the end of that, just in case I get a shiny that actually has even better IVs. If not, then I will evolve one. Ugh. You know what? Let's put on some music. How about that? It's very quiet. Okay, now let's talk about Gen V Episode 4. You know, on a side note, I watched this episode last night. I also bathed my dog last night because I knew I wouldn't have time to tonight. I knew tonight I would have the Dead City finale to watch, as well as, you know, this to do. So I did the stuff yesterday night. How did this episode open? Whatever. So, I forget exactly how this episode opens, but for the most part, the storylines. So, Marie goes to this guy who claims to be a psychic for help. Jordan sees, but she doesn't do anything. Yet. So, Marie asks this guy for help because Emma's missing. Oh, wait, that's right. Beginning of the episode, our characters, they try to find Emma. They found the... Oh, shit, that's not how the episode opened. Episode opened underneath where the woods are. Dean Shetty is talking to this guy who knows that Sam escaped, and, well, would be a shame if Vought found out. So they need to find him fast. Shetty also finds something, a very small shoe. So our characters, they actually are outside in like the middle of a field, because that's where they found Emma's tracker. It looks like a crater, you know? And we see later in the episode that Sam is able to jump really high. I guess he lands on impact really hard as well. So now Marie goes to this psychic guy to try to get his help, trying to find Emma, but also potentially finding her sister as well. Well, in a blink of an instant, Marie wakes up with this dude attempting to undress, and, well, we know what he's going to do, what he wants to do. Jordan's knocking at the door like, open the door, you perverted shit. So his robe is open, and we see this guy's junk. And Marie, she fills his dick with so much blood, it bursts. She explodes that guy's dick. First of all, as a fellow guy, ouch. But second, Marie, we now know that she's able to control blood not just outside of the body, but also inside. Even she didn't know she could do that, but the episode doesn't touch on it again. The episode just brushes off the fact that Marie is able to control blood inside the body. And also, we got yet another close-up of a penis in this show. I think I'm starting to see the show's double standards. Like, where's my close-up of a vagina? We've seen 2 dicks up close now. Where's the equal treatment, huh? Writers? Come on now. Don't be having double standards now. So Marie and Jordan argue a bit. Now, I did notice that they were possibly building up a little bit of tension between them, maybe a little bit of like romantic chemistry between them. I did notice that. We're also introduced to this new scumbag character, Tech Knight. Sounds a lot like Ted Knight. So Tech Knight, I guess his superpower is to be able to really closely observe someone. Notices pupil dilation for lying. Notices elevated heart rates by a vein pumping blood a little faster. I don't know. So he speaks with Shetty and, kind of threatens her a little bit if Vought were to find out about this. So Tech Knight comes up with the idea to pin all of this on someone, one of the students, and Shetty just warns him stay away from the top 5. But he does exactly that. So Shetty goes into the class where Marie and Jordan are at. Shetty actually asks Marie, like, how's your roommate Emma been? Have you seen her lately? Yeah, I have. She stays at this guy's room all the time now. Why? Just worried about her. She's been missing a couple of classes. Just worried. So, Tech Knight shows up, showing like a new interrogation method or whatever, and he needs a volunteer, so he brings up Marie. So he questions her. I just spat everywhere. He questions her about, the day that Soldier Boy died, and he's able to tell that she's lying. So Marie finally spits out the truth that she didn't fight Golden Boy at all. It was actually Jordan Lee who fought him and, bought her enough time to run away. So the truth finally gets out there. Dean Shetty actually confronts him about that. Like, I told you to stay away from the top 5. And then Tech Knight's just like, you're right. I shouldn't pin this on one of them. I should pin it on you. And then he grabs a bagel and walks away. We learn why he wants that bagel later on. So Jordan actually visits Marie at her dorm room. And I'm kind of like, Jordan, what are you pissed about? You wanted her to tell the truth. She didn't tell the truth, and now she did tell the truth. Why are you pissed at her? So, blah blah blah, Jordan turns into a guy, and then they kiss. Not only kiss, they make out and start to undress. And at that time, Emma comes in and just ruins the moment. So they definitely did build some romantic tension between Marie and Jordan. I wonder, because based on his parents, we know Jordan was initially a boy, and then Compound V made him able to swap between boy and girl. Was he bisexual the whole time? Because I don't know if, the ability to swap gender suddenly made him interested in the opposite, Or was that always the case? Because I tell you, if I had that power, I don't know if I would be anything but, straight, Though that's just me. I doubt if I was changing into a girl, I would be suddenly interested in guys. Because I'm not. I don't know, that's just me though. So yeah, Emma bursts in, but where has Emma been? So Emma and Sam actually go to this abandoned restaurant place that they used to go to. Sam and Luke. Sam tries to get a hold of Luke, but then Emma reveals, I'm so sorry, your brother died. I should have told you. I'm glad that's not a season-long storyline that drags out. I'm glad she told him. Well, Emma eats, goes back to normal size, they chat for a bit. Sam is interested, so is Emma. But Sam's not well. He hears voices. Well, the next day... Oh yeah, Sam's also afraid that Emma will leave him, but Emma promises she will not. So the next day, Sam actually sees like a hallucination of something on the TV. It was kind of in the style of "Don't hug me, I'm scared," because there was this guy with a puppet version of the Deep, and it kept on zooming into Puppet Deep's gills. So now, because of this hallucination, because of this vision that he saw, he needs to go and kill Dr. What was the name again? Let me see. What the hell was that guy's name again? Dr. something? Dr. Cardosa, there it is. He needs to go and kill Dr. Cardosa, so he actually runs off, leaving Emma behind. So Emma goes back to the dorm to try to find Marie's help, along with everyone else, being like, oh shit, Sam is going to kill this Dr. Cardosa guy. And coincidentally enough, Jordan knows who that Dr. Cardosa is, and where to find him. Well, before we talk about that storyline, we still got other character storylines. So regarding Kate, regarding Andre, to be honest, not much happens with them. Tech Knight interviews student by student. He's able to, tell off of Andre, smell it on his breath. Ooh, how long have you been sleeping with your best friend's girlfriend? That's it, isn't it? That's what you wanted. You wanted his girlfriend. You wanted his life, didn't you? He also does the same thing to Kate. So actually, speaking of Tech Knight, so his attempt to blackmail or even pin the blame on Shetty fails, because out in the middle of the woods, no cameras, no security, no nothing. Shetty brings up surveillance footage of some of Tech Knight's worst highlights. Anything round and looks like has a hole, he just can't resist but to stick his meat into it. That's why he took the bagel earlier. Absolutely anything, like a phone, a hole in a tree, a skull ornament. What is it with skull fucking, huh? Like, he sticks his dick into anything. Also, she pulls up the fact that he has like a brain tumor that will soon become fatal. So Tech Knight, not wanting his, reputation, his legacy, to be like, oh shit, this guy fucks everything. Literally everything. He decides not to blackmail anyone, and, his television show on VOT Plus. I swear to God, is there any company in this world aside from VOT? Everything in this world is VOT. Is there anything else besides VOT? Is there even a Walmart in this world? Anyway, so while he's making his show, he looks to the side and sees this hole in a tree, and he just can't resist. He's just like, guys, can you leave me alone for a couple minutes, and walks off to the tree. Oh yeah, there was also a name drop in this episode. There was a name drop when Shetty and Tech Knight were talking. There was a name drop of Ironhide, and I first thought that sounds kind of familiar. I looked the character up. Yeah, that's because I just saw this character and heard this character's name on the previous episode of The Boys Presents Diabolical. This is the character who I said looked like Snorlax. Kind of coincidental timing there, you know? So that does confirm Ironhide exists in this world. Who knows if Ironhide is killed off at this point, because, you know, if we can assume, well, I don't know where that episode takes place, timeline-wise, so who knows? Just wanted to mention that there was indeed a name drop of Ironhide, who we just saw in the previous Diabolical episode. So we go into the house of Dr. Cardosa, and his family's being threatened by Sam just before it's dinner time. And of course, this guy has to be gay. Of course, he has to have a husband and a daughter. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just like, can we ever see a straight family anymore? You know? They didn't have to make him a gay couple, but they chose to, you know? God, what's wrong with being straight anymore? You know? What's wrong with seeing straight people in a show anymore? You know? So, our team, the Avengers, show up. All our characters show up to fight off and, you know, stop Sam from killing Dr. Cardosa. Sam fights back, of course. To my surprise, Jordan actually has a power besides just swapping between genders. She actually has this, like, energy force kind of power. Alright. But no one is able to actually restrain Sam. He's too strong. So, Emma, seeing there's a big-ass dinner on the table, she scarfs it all down, just stuffing her face. And then she is just humongous and naked. I suppose that makes sense. The clothing wouldn't fit her. But if she shrinks, does she have small clothing, or does the clothes shrink with her? Right? Whatever. I assume she has small clothing, because I think we saw previously when she shrinks, she's also naked. So, big ass, giant Emma is able to pin Sam down, promising we will help you. We will be with you to the end. Marie's just like, we promise we will help you, and then it cuts to Marie in bed with Jordan. Like, what happened? The scene just abruptly ends, and they're just somewhere else now. We'll have to see what that's about. And then, as a final ending, the final scene, the ending, we see Tech Knight stick his dick into a hand dryer in the bathroom. Just attempting. Grabbing a bucket to get up higher and try to fit it in. And that's the episode. I don't know, the plot is somewhat thickening. But, you know, it's definitely not as great as The Boys' main show. Why does this Heatran elude me so much? Let's give my voice a rest for a bit before we talk about Diabolical. I also did go to bed with a headache last night. I didn't take any medication. I just figured, alright, let me try to get a good night's sleep and maybe that'll solve it. I woke up this morning with no headache, borderline completely forgetting about it. Until today around noon, I felt a hint of something again. I'm just like, oh shit. Am I going to spend the whole day today with a headache? I don't have any headache medicine with me out today. Thankfully, no. No, there was no headache today. I think it's time we change up the music, Give me a sec. Let me check if any lights need to be turned off. Nope, we're good. yeah, this was the song I wanted to see what it sounded like again. What did Zinnia's theme sound like? Ah, I vaguely remember now. It's been a while. Alright, let's talk about the boys' diabolical episode 4 real quick. You know, before anything happens, before the shiny shows up and I get cut off. So this episode we follow this random guy. We learn later on his name is Boyd. Not the Boyd from. This guy has a crush on his neighbor. His neighbor, Cherry. Now I thought, is this Sherry? You know, the girl that Frenchie was with initially? But no, this is a totally different character. So he's into this girl who lives next door, but he's not very good looking, you know? He looks fine. He's an average skinny guy. And he doesn't have the courage to talk to her. So, you know, she takes a selfie with the puppy filter, posts it, he sees it, and then he decides to try to do the same. Man, there's a whole bunch of filters to make him look like the Deep, look like A-Train, which, very good choice. They did not make him black with the filter. That would have been, you know, somewhat offensive, but they only gave him A-Train's attire in the filter. And then a Homelander filter that gives him a chiseled jaw. And then he gets a prompt on his phone for, like, you know, a quote-unquote job. You know, it's that kind of job where you take experimental drugs and stuff for payment. So he goes to Vought Tower and he takes experimental face cream. Now, one of the scientists, I'm just like, is this voiced by Kamal Nanjiani? I waited until the credits. Yep, that's him. I instantly recognized his voice. So the face cream, once applied to your face, you will get, you will get whatever body shape and appearance you want, as long as you imagine it. You can imagine whatever you want. So he tests it out. He gets this chiseled jaw and this buff physique, you know, going complete Steve Rogers, a skinny boy to a giant, tall, buff guy. And now he has the courage to talk to the girl next door. And she finds him hunky attractive. So they hook up, they go on dates, they fuck. We get to see some animated titties in this episode. Which, it's not like we haven't in previous episodes. We saw that guy with tits for a face. Oh, by the way, I should mention that the art style of this episode kind of looks like comic strips, you know? It kind of looked like, Archie? What the hell was that one comic name? Is it Archie? It's not Archer. It is Archie. I never read these growing up, but the school library had them and other kids read them. But yeah, it kind of looked like the Archie comic book art style. So they hook up, they fuck. He starts to shrink because the cream is wearing off, and by the way, he was warned not to overdo it. It's still an experimental face cream. Maybe take a break between every doses, but obviously he didn't listen. And I thought that would have repercussions, but not really. Elaborate on more of that later. So, after they smash, she goes to use the bathroom, and then she mistakes it for just regular face cream. So, she tries it. The next morning, as he shrinks down and applies more, he wakes up to her with cat ears and cat whiskers and a cat tail. And she's just like, I love it. This is how I always wanted to be, because she doesn't like the freckles she has. So I guess the freckles turned into cat whiskers. At first he was put off, but then they smash again, and then he's into it. Is it bad if I can see the vision? If I can understand maybe wanting something like that? Now, I'm not saying for say I would like that, but, you know, I would not be against it. So, they go into this diner and everyone is drooling over them because the two of them are so beautiful. He's handsome and she's hot. So they get famous. They create an Instagram together. They get millions of followers. They get rich. You know, sponsor deals, all that stuff. They get a luxurious life. But then the relationship slowly starts to fall apart. They start fighting, they start arguing. Boyd sleeps with someone else and she gets mad. And then we see jars upon jars and jars and jars of face cream used up. They fight over one final little drop of it, but now they're out because it fell into the toilet, because of course it did. Their followers hit 0, and then, you know, they go to Vought Tower and they talk to Ashley. They actually speak to Ashley. If Homelander being present in the show wasn't enough to confirm its canon, then, you know, Ashley being here should also be enough, right? So Ashley fires them, and then they go back to their regular lives. They go back to their regular lives as being neighbors, because I guess they still own that real estate, I suppose. The two of them are normal now. He's skinny and she has no cat features. They're about to forgive and forget and move on, but then we cut back to... Okay, so here, here I was thinking, how could this be... Like, of course it could be canon, but how do I place it in the timeline? Because, you know, these two hooked up. They gained millions of followers, so that alone would take quite a bit of time. They got rich and famous, and then they had a crashing out. That takes a lot of time. It didn't just happen in a week. So it's kind of hard for me to place this in one specific point in the timeline. However, the end of the episode solves all of that problem. Because right as Boyd and Cherry are about to hook up again, we cut back to Boyd still in the experimental chair. None of that happened. It was all in his mind. Dr. Kumal Nanjiani asked the other scientist, how much compound V did you put in there? Boyd's head explodes and she's just like, too much. I put too much in there. And well, that's the episode. Almost none of it actually happens. The beginning happened, you know, where Boyd was interested in his neighbor Cherry and went to go get the Vought experimental face cream. 30 seconds ads are complete ass. I know. But then, you know, once he put on the face cream, everything then has been a hallucination. So none of it happened after that point. It was all in his mind. In his mind, he hooked up with his neighbor, they got super rich and famous, they had a falling out, and then they hooked up again. But none of that really happened. So this is... So what turned into a pretty difficult location... What? a pretty difficult thing to place in the timeline became very easy. You know? I can still easily put this between Season 2 and 3. Even the Ashley thing wasn't real. Oop. Alright, autoplay. Moved on. It worked out. They've really had Kumail Nanjiani come in and voice for like 3 minutes. You know, at first I thought that there would be some sort of really bad crash out, because Boyd was warned not to overdo the lotion, and he just does nothing but overdo it. So I thought that might lead to something. I thought maybe Sherry would find out, you've been lying to me this whole time, you're not really this buff, handsome, shit, what was the character's name again? Oh shit, what was the character's name again? Why can't I think of the character's name? Oh, Johnny Bravo, there it is. You're telling me you're not this buff, handsome Johnny Bravo looking character? Looking man? You lied to me. I thought it was gonna be like that. I thought she was gonna be mad that he lied to her this whole time, but no, she was in on it. Okay, so she's in on it. So I was thinking, the two of them are really overdoing the Compound V lotion. So I thought, well, the two of them, their bodies are literally going to melt. But no, nothing. Only because none of it was real. So far, for the most part, these episodes are rather easy to place in the timeline, because so far, nothing really contradicts. I can just put it as the release order, so between seasons 2 and 3. The biggest outlier is episode 3, you know? I said how I thought maybe that's the beginning of the timeline, but clearly not. So now there's two options. It could either take place at the very end of the timeline, or it's just someone in the universe reading a comic book. But that alone would also cause problems, because inside that comic book has characters Butcher and Huey. How can that be the case unless Butcher and Huey are well-known figures in this world who went up against Vought and the Seven? So it might have to still be at the end of the timeline regardless. Regardless of if the comic book story is what takes place in universe or the guy reading the comic. It could be two options, because, you know, Butcher is dying. We'll have to see if he makes it alive to the end of the show, and if he does, then we can say the actual storyline takes place at the very end of the timeline. But if not, then it's just a guy reading a comic book. Because unless Maeve joins the Seven again, you know, Maeve isn't part of the Seven anymore as of the end of Season 3, so that also doesn't make sense. So we gotta wait and see how the end of the show ends. Because if anything, it's just a guy reading a comic book in universe. You think Vought doesn't produce comic books about their very own superhero team, the Seven? Of course they do. Because Vought does everything. It literally is no other company in this whole world besides Vought. Is there even a McDonald's in this world, or is it Vought Burgers? Damn, now I'm craving McDonald's. Fuck! Oop.
Get a credit.
Nope, don't get a credit card. You know my fat ass could scarf down like 4 McDonald's burgers in one sitting? I mean, nothing's stopping me besides my weight and not wanting to add to it. But aside from that, I'm an adult now with money. I can do that if I want. Might cry in the toilet afterwards. Not because of, you know, the process, but just because of the idea of what I just did. So today, my sister's husband's brother got married, and my sister said that the chapel had no air conditioning. Today was hot as hell. Poor guy. Imagine the guys wearing the suits. You know, my sister sent us a picture. He was wearing the exact same suit he wore for my sister's wedding. So his brother's wedding. The same suit that he wore to, you know, be on the side. I mean, I don't blame the guy. Suits are expensive. And if you go through suits as fast as I do, because I keep outgrowing them, yeah, I would reuse it too. I already bought the damn thing, right? So, aside from that wedding happening today, my sister's gonna be going on a trip for the next, like, 2 days. It's a very quick trip. A quick trip to New York, and then she's back. A part of me is tempted to ask her to open up Pokemon Go, see if she can find a Bouffalont and trade it to me afterwards, but, like, why even bother at that point? I already have a Bouffalont in my game. So at that point, it's like, why even bother anymore? I got that Bouffalont last year when I went on that cruise with those guys. You know, now it's a little less awkward for her. The husband's brother's girlfriend, who is his wife now, you know? The guy who got married today, it's a little less awkward for her now, the now wife, previously girlfriend. It's a little less awkward for her to always show up at things, you know? Because showing up to a family dinner hosted by imagine her position, your boyfriend's brother's wife's family. It's a little awkward for you to show up, right? It's kind of like, you know, the opposite if I was in that position. For me to show up to a dinner hosted by my girlfriend's sister's husband's parents and family. It's a little awkward for me to show up. But now that they're married, it kind of makes more sense for them to show up. Shit, the only person at the table without a +1 would be me. Oh, fuck. Well, unfortunately, that's not going to change anytime soon. Not by choice, but just by fate. Well, anyways, I'm gonna end this soon. It seems like yet again, no shiny Heatran. God damn it. Why does Ultra Sun treat me like shit? Ultra Moon is so nice to me. Ultra Sun treats me horribly. You know, it was also quite busy at work today. A pretty unfortunate day for my sister to not show up at work, but I get it, she had a wedding to attend. Oh, I also forgot to mention today the potential war. All this stuff happening in the Middle East right now. Aw, shit, the world is fucked. The fact that Trump just, like, bombed Iran or whatever, we're done for. Can't I just live my life in peace with my Pokemon games and my declining mentality? Anyways, this will be the last encounter for today. And nothing today. Well, thanks for watching, everyone. See you next time. Bye now.